All right, today we're going to tear down the clever engine that makes Bitcoin dollar tick. It's a dual token system, which might sound complicated, but it's really about giving you a choice. One token for liquidity, another for high yield. The real magic, though, is how they work together to make the whole thing productive. So let's get into it.
So the first thing you've got to know is that this design isn't coming out of nowhere. The team behind it was smart. They actually modeled their system on a structure that's already out there and, proven to work in DeFi.
If you're familiar with Athena's setup, USD and its staked version, sUSD, then you're going to recognize this blueprint immediately. The relationship between BTCD and its staked version, sBTCD, follows that exact same successful logic.
Now, just to be thorough, there are actually 3 tokens in this whole ecosystem. You've got BTCD, the base token, sBTCD, the staking token, and then Fisk for governance. But for this explainer, we're really just going to focus on the core relationship between the first 2.
Okay, let's start with the foundation of the whole thing, BTCD. You can think of this as the main asset, right? It's the entry point into the system, the thing you'll actually mint and hold in your wallet.
So what exactly is BTCD? Well, it's basically a token that represents a direct claim on a portfolio that's kept perfectly balanced, 50% Bitcoin and 50% US dollars. That super simple construction is where all of its best features come from.
And the most obvious benefit of that 50-50 split. It slices the dollar-denominated volatility of Bitcoin right in half. So for anyone who wants exposure to Bitcoin but could do with a much smoother ride, this is absolutely the key.
At its core, BTCD's job is simple. It just tracks the value of that 50-50 portfolio. And here's the critical part. It is always instantly redeemable for USDC directly through the protocol. There's no waiting around, no middlemen, just a straight swap.
All right, now let's talk about the other token, sBTCD. This is where things start to get really interesting, because this is the yield engine for the entire system. The way it works is honestly beautiful in its simplicity. So that underlying 50-50 portfolio, it's out there earning yield all the time. That yield then gets funneled into the staking contract. And the result is that, over time, one single sBTCD becomes worth more and more BTCD. It just keeps appreciating against the base token.
And there's another really clever feature baked in here called yield smoothing. See, instead of giving you the crazy up and down yield earned every single day, the protocol smooths it all out, paying you an average of the last 30 days of earnings.
And this is a huge deal for 2 reasons. First, for you, the user, it means the yield you get is way more predictable and stable. And second, because the protocol pays out with that slight delay, it builds up a safety buffer. This helps keep the whole system over-collateralized, which is just crucial for its long-term health. So, all of this sets up the big choice for anyone using the protocol. It boils down to this. Do you want the juicy yield that comes from staking, or do you need the instant flexibility of the base token?
And that leads to the question that's probably already on your mind, right? If you can stake your tokens and earn a great yield with sBTCD, why on earth would anyone choose to just hold plain old, non-yielding BTCD?
The answer comes down to one simple word: liquidity. See, to keep the system stable and prevent something like a bank run, the protocol has a 7-day cooldown period when you want to unstake your sBTCD. That's the price you pay for that higher yield.
This really sums up the whole choice perfectly. With BTCD, you get instant liquidity. That's its main benefit. With sBTCD, you get to capture that sweet portfolio yield, but you have to be okay with that 7-day cooldown. Now, did you notice that little none yet under BTCD's yield source? Yeah, we're about to get to the good stuff.
Because this is where the design goes from smart to truly elegant. The way these 2 tokens interact with each other creates this unexpected and frankly incredibly powerful dynamic that you only really see in DeFi.
Okay, so here is the absolute key insight, the secret sauce of the whole system. Remember how the entire portfolio is earning yield? Well, all of that yield flows to the people who are staking sBTCD. This means that stakers aren't just earning yield from their own capital. They're also earning the yield from all the unstaked BTCD out there.
So, that brings us right back to our little puzzle. If all the built-in yield is going straight to the stakers, how could unstaked BTCD possibly earn a yield of its own? I mean, where would that money even come from?
Well, the answer comes from a classic DeFi move called looping. Because sBTCD is this fantastic yield-bearing asset, what do you think people are going to do with it? They're going to deposit it as collateral in lending markets. Then they'll borrow the base token BTCD against it and just repeat that process to juice their yield even more. And that, right there, is the punchline. All those people wanting to borrow BCD to get leveraged exposure to that high staking yield, what does that do? It creates real, organic, market-driven demand to borrow BCD. And in any market where there's a demand to borrow, there is a yield for lending.
Okay, let's zoom out. Now that we have all the pieces on the table, we can finally look at the entire system and see how it all fits together. So the choice you have to make as a user is suddenly much clearer. It's not yield versus no yield anymore. It's a choice between two different types of yield. You can stake your BTZ for that really high staking rate, but accept the cooldown. Or you can lend it out for a totally different kind of yield while staying completely liquid.
And this is what's so brilliant about the design. It's a perfect symbiotic relationship. The high yield for stakers creates the demand for borrowing BTCD. And that borrowing demand, in turn, creates a brand new lending yield for the people who value liquidity. It's like a flywheel. Each side of the system makes the other one stronger.
So what you end up with is an ecosystem where there are no lazy assets. Every single token is put to work, whether you're a staker chasing high returns or a lender who just wants to stay liquid. And it really makes you think. It poses a powerful question for the future of this space. What happens when every single asset in an ecosystem is designed from the ground up to be productive? That's a pretty powerful idea.